Agreed.
Trustees attending remotely, I would like to verify your presence. Please turn your cameras on if possible. Trustee Powell. Trustee Powell, are you there? Trustee Kelly.
Hi, Chair. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy. Trustee Murphy, are you there? Call to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Halton Catholic District School Board on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and will also be posted on the board's YouTube channel. Check. Trustees, in order to be recognized, please use the hand up feature in Teams to be automatically placed in queue. Boardroom participants are once again reminded that the overhead microphone system is very sensitive. So whatever I speak out there will be picked up by the system. So be really careful and only speak when you're prompted by myself. Otherwise, refrain from speaking when it's not your turn. Before we begin, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our newly elected student trustees for the 2026-27 school year who are attending this evening as observers. Yeah. So a report regarding the appointment appears later in today's evening agenda. Also, we have our lawyer, Brad Teichman, will be joining us online. And should there be any questions regarding the municipal election action item, he will be there to answer those questions. So with that, we shall move on to item 1.1, land acknowledgement, opening prayer, the Our Father national anthem. I now ask staff to please start us off with the land acknowledgement.
Halton, as we know it today,
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations and the Métis.
From the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis.
These lands surrounding the Great Lake
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters
to honor and respect
the four directions,
lands, waters, plants,
animals,
and ancestors
that walked before us.
All these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God.
We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you. Student trustee Adani, could you please lead us the opening prayer in your national?
Student our faith in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father who art in heaven.
Thank you, God, on your blessings in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. Forgive us our trespasses against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Student to do the opening prayer.
Do the opening prayer.
Okay. Teach me the sign of our faith again. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, you have given us this day, this moment that will never come again. Teach us how to use it with purpose. As we gather here, we remember the witness of Oscar Romeo, who chose courage over comfort and truth over silence. Inspire us to live with that same boldness, to stand for what is right, even when it's difficult. Grant us clarity in our thinking, honesty in our words, and compassion in our actions. Help us not move through this time passively, but with act and intention to seek justice and to make this matter and to make this moment matter. Bless this meeting and all those present. May what we do here reflect your goodness and bring light to others. We offer this day to you. Amen. Amen.
Yeah. My voice.
Thank you, student trustee Adelie. 1.2, motions arising from in-camera. There were no motions arising from the in-camera session that will require a vote in the public session. Our next order of business is approval of the agenda. Can we have the agenda up, please? Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda, and the trustees want any item removed from the consent agenda? Saying none? Oh, sorry. I didn't see anybody's hand up. Please use the hand up feature.
I did.
Trustees Saunders?
Can I remove 6.1.4 from the consent agenda? And I'll also declare a conflict of interest.
I'll come to that. 6.1.4. Okay. Any other changes, trustees? Seeing none?
No.
Trustees, I'm going to encourage everybody, please use the hand up feature because I can see that I can.
Hand?
Okay, trustee Kennedy?
Do you see the hand?
Yeah.
Okay. I can please remove 6.1.2 policy IO6 delegation to the board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustees. Any further changes to the agenda? Saying none? May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Looking for a move, please. Trustee Saunders moves. Looking for a seconder. Trustee Carabella seconds it. I'll take this to a recorded vote. Trustee Kennedy, how do you vote?
Favor.
Trustee Agnew?
Yeah, I'm opposed.
Vice Chair Guantanamo?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders?
In favor.
Trustee Murphy? Trustee Berstrom?
In favor.
Trustee Adelie?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Powell?
Hi, I'm in favor.
Thank you. We have 6 in favor, one opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Shall now move on to item number 3, declarations of conflict of interest. Trustee Saunders, your conflict of interest form is submitted. Your conflict is on item number 6.1.4.
Yes.
Trustee Kelly, I've received your. Would you like to declare? Conflict of interest?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Chair. I'm
Good
declaring the conflict of interest with 6.1.4.
Okay, thank you. Any further conflict of interest to be declared? Seeing none, we shall now move on to our next order of business, item number 4, presentations. 4.1, senior staff update, Black Excellence at Halton Catholic Christian School Board. Director Klein, please introduce the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to call up Sita Jayaraman and her team. Wait for you to stand up. To give us a sense of the advances that you've made in terms of righting historical wrongs and current wrongs, to give a sense of the celebrations that we want to mark as we have been called and challenged to do much better at this board as we have across the province. And we're excited about this presentation because I do think it gives a strong sense of the inroads we've made to advancing the priorities of the MYSP. And so I hand it over to Sita.
Great.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Director Klein, and through you, Mr. Chair. We're really pleased to be here today and provide some updates on the work that we're doing to foster and promote Black excellence at Halton Catholic District School Board. As mentioned, I'm joined by Amanda Gonzalez from Curriculum Services, an honorary member of the Office of Human Rights and Equity. So you may know through previous reports that we've done a lot of work to dismantle systemic anti-Black racism at our board for a number of years now, be it through professional development, data collection, policy review, addressing hate and bias, or creating identity-affirming spaces for Black students at the board and school levels. But today we want to specifically share the highlights of the work of the, next slide please, Rosie, thank you, on two of specific initiatives. One is the work of the graduation coach for Black students over the last year, and the Black Excellence Symposium that was led by Amanda. We'll begin with the graduation coach program, and you may recall we've had many presentations by the graduation coach. Unfortunately, the current graduation coach had to go out of the country, is not able to be here today, but she has shared her work, so I shall do my best to share the progress that's been made. So when we switch over to the next slide, Rosie. Thank you. So as you may recall, the graduation coach works at two different sites, at the St. Francis Xavier and the St. Kateri Tekakwitha secondary schools, both in Milton, and has been supporting Black students in both secondary schools. So I'll be speaking to some of the highlights there. Next slide, please. So when we receive funding through the ministry for the graduation coach for Black students, the ministry also provides sort of the objectives or the key themes in the areas that we need to work on. So one of the key areas is building trusting relationships with Black students, families, and communities. So to achieve this objective, one of the key things that Graduation Coach has done is to support the Black Student Union weekly meetings at both schools, St. Francis Xavier and St. Kateri. And the Black Student Union is really an opportunity for Black students in secondary school to come together, have a safe space to celebrate, explore, and affirm their Black heritage and culture. It provides a supportive network, offers emotional supports, and helps to build leadership, communication, and organization skills. So our graduation coach has been really instrumental in the work that was started a few years ago in fostering these student unions and in continuing to support them to meet regularly and come together and build community. Next slide, please. A lot of the work, again, in building trusting relationships with Black students, families, and communities is also to build partnerships internally with different departments that are doing this work. So some of the work that's happened this year is to collaborate with Amanda Gonzalez, who led the Black Excellence Symposium. She'll be talking about that. To sort of collaborate in the implementation of the symposium. We also had a parent symposium last year in April, again led by Amanda. And so the graduation coach was able to work with the students at both the schools and participate and contribute to the parent symposium to build trust with families and to strengthen parent and school partnerships. There's also been opportunities by partnering with community organizations such as Rising Stars to help build mentorship skills of students and inspire younger peers through positive role models and foster teamwork. So these are some of the examples of the work that has been done to build collaboration and collaborative partnerships within the board. The next slide speaks to some of the work that has been done in partnership with other community organizations and some of the work that happened over the summer. So over the summer, because the graduation coach is a 12-month employee, has been able to provide programming for Black students in the summer, be it either like a summer pottery program or basic first aid training. Also worked with community-led organizations like Black Voices and Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton to participate in their Black Joy Gala and Youth Leadership Summer Program. So these are examples of some of the external collaborations that have been fostered to support students. The next slide again speaks to how last year the students were able to take a really interesting trip to Queen's Park to Legislative Assembly. This was again a program offered in partnership with the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. And it was a great opportunity for our students to go meet civic leaders, community partners, explore careers and become aware of careers in politics and public service, and really sort of enhance that sense of belonging of Black students in civic places. So this was a really interesting activity that was made possible through the efforts of the grad coach. Next slide. So the second key objective, in addition to building trusting relationships, has been to support students in their graduation and successful transition into post-secondary pathways and careers. That's a really key objective of the graduation program. And so again, looking at internal partnerships, working with student success, the graduation coach was able to create a number of, academic supports, peer tutoring, guiding students in course selection, providing information about post-secondary options, and supporting students in resume writing, job interview preparation, and volunteer or co-op opportunities. There's also an opportunity in partnership with Roots Community Services to have access to free virtual homework help and math tutoring. Next slide, please. This was, again, a really interesting trip that was made possible to McMaster University last year. Students were able to go to McMaster and, connect with the National Society of Black Engineers. And this was an opportunity for them to look at, STEM careers and pathways, make connections, network, and to inspire students to see themselves as future engineers, innovators, and leaders. So this was really an opportunity that was highly appreciated by the students. Next slide. Also wanted to highlight that much of the work that the graduation coach does is again to inspire that sense of achievement, that sense of self, the sense of identity. So here's an example of how students then celebrated their heritage, their roots, and their academic achievements by wearing the kente stoles at graduation, and it sort of brought together that sense of community and joy and that visibility in how their cultural identity and heritage was celebrated. And with that as an opportunity to showcase the achievement and joy. With that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Amanda to talk about the Black Excellence Symposium that happened in February. Over to you.
Thank you, Sita. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here to share some details about the Black Excellence Symposium, third annual Black Excellence Symposium that took place on February 12th at Thomas Merton. So this year, the theme was Empowering Leaders for Life. If you go to the next slide. In the past 2 years, the focus of the symposium has been identity affirmation as well as a celebration of community building, and it's been available for all students who participate in BSUs and BSAs. But this year we had a bit of a shift in that we really wanted to focus on leadership. So we are in our 4th year of having BSAs and BSUs in our secondary schools. And these groups are student leadership groups. And so it was vital that students have the opportunity to build up their leadership capacity, as well as learn about things like student governance. So we went with a smaller group of participants. So we had just under 200 students, about 170 students come out. And the focus was on leadership. And the folks that we invited, the participants that we invited, were either students who have a leadership role in their spaces or are aspiring leaders. And so if you go to the next slide, similar to past years, there was a series of workshops that were specific to leadership. So some had to do with community building and understanding the importance of communication. Some were about the importance of campaigning and running a successful campaign, so understanding the logistics of running school events. There was a session on understanding how to use online platforms for sustainability. There was sessions on distinguishing names, so the difference between student unions versus student associations. There was a space that was specifically for students to talk about issues related to their identities, and that was run by Home Black Voices as well as two HCDSB alumni, shout out to Iwi and Amade. And then there was a session that was specific to getting feedback from students about the Center for Black Excellence, which Sita will speak to in a moment. Let's go to the next slide. Here's a lot of the feedback. Here's some of the feedback from students, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I really encourage you all to read this because it speaks to not only the success of the event, but it speaks to how critical it is to have events like this in our school board. We know that anti-Black racism is prevalent in all schools. There are countless bodies of work that speak to this. And we know that because of that, there is harm and trauma that is felt from our students and their families. Events like this are critical for allowing students to come together. It's critical for students to engage with Black mentorship and for fostering a sense of inclusion. If you go to the next slide, you can even see some feedback from staff, which is really important for staff who are supporting these spaces to understand and share best practices and collaboration. So overall, it was a wonderful event. If you go to the next slide. Just some images. I want to shout out a couple different departments. So special education, and a big shout out to Tim Henry and Kate Mahoney for their support in this event and getting everything together. And a big shout out to the staff advisors for helping coordinate students to get there. And if you go to the next slide. Special thank you to our partners and our sponsors. So Roots, CCAH, Wanda's, Busy Mom's Kitchen, Jeannie's, Andrew Peters and Rising Stars, Janelle Thomas Smith from Home Black Voices, and Hannah H from MC Careers. Thank you.
Slide, please. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Amanda. And I know about what great energy there was in the room as the students poured in and spent the day there. So we've shared with you some highlights of the work that we've done to dismantle anti-Black racism and center Black excellence. I also wanted to sort of provide a big picture overview of what we've been doing and sort of a little bit of a teaser for what's to come in the future. As you know, and as I mentioned, the work of addressing and dismantling systemic anti-Black racism is an ongoing commitment, and it really aligns with our commitments in our multi-year strategic plan. So you may recall back in December 2023, we had released the Anti-Black Racism Strategic Plan report and the equity audit. And at the time, there were 17 recommendations that were made in the report, and over 75 different action items within those 17 recommendations. And they ranged from everything to inclusive recruitment, to curriculum, affinity spaces, policy review, data collection, and many, many more. So one of the key recommendations of that strategic plan report was the formation of an anti-Black racism steering committee, strategy steering committee, and for the steering committee to be that body that sort of, lends vision to the implementation of the recommendations. So in January 2025, the committee was struck and has been meeting over the last year and a half now, and has been looking at the recommendations of the Anti-Black Racism Strategic Plan report. And the committee has representation from students, parents, staff, Black identifying staff, trustee, and senior leadership, Director Klein, and a number of others in the Office of Human Rights and Equity, research, and HR, the number of departments. So we've been meeting regularly, and the committee has been sort of looking at the priorities and where they want to sort of spend most of their effort in trying to implement the recommendations. So one of the key recommendations of the STRAT plan was the creation of a Center for Black Excellence. And we've heard student voice in shaping that. That's really important as we think about how the space should look like. So just an update for here that the committee is meeting, is trying to envision what that space would look like, and is having those discussions. And as the committee continues to formalize their plans on what kind of programming, how it'll look, we will bring updates to you. So just wanted to bring that as a stay tuned for what's to come next. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. I shall now open up the floor to trustees for questions. Trustees, do we have questions, comments for Ms. Chairman and Ms. Gonsalves? I see hands up. Vice Chair?
Thank you to you, Mr. Chair, to Sita. Amanda, as you were doing the slide presentation, it's so funny. I was turning around, and as you were going through every slide, I was looking at our pillars, right? Achieving, believing, belonging. You've hit every single one of them, and maybe twice on some of them. So, I mean, talk about combining everything, our multi-year strategic plan, and having the students give such positive feedback. How can that not be a win? And I know we have a long way to go and we need a lot more money to spend, but it's a great start because we were here in December 2023 and we've come a long way, baby, as they like to say. So good job.
Thank you. Any other trustees have questions, comments? Seeing none, I want to thank Chairman and Ms. Gonsalves and their team, as other folks behind, for all the work that you've been doing. I really appreciate that being part of the Anti-Black Racism Committee, which is great. A lot of work being done. I would like to see that roadmap stand. Stops there in 2025. I know there's a lot of planning happening, but it's fantastic work done so far, and really appreciate all the work, all the effort that goes into it. A lot of work. So thank you so much for all this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 5, delegations. We have no delegations tonight. Next order of business is item number 6, consent agenda items. The following items have been agreed upon. Can we have the agenda up, please? The following items have been agreed upon at the agenda approval to stay on consent agenda. Item 6.1, action items. 6.2, noted items. Item 6.1.2 and 6.1.4 have been removed. So, as you know, the consent agenda, we shall take one vote on the action item. There shall be no discussion and no debate on the loaded items. I shall now read the motion. Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board approve the consent agenda items 6.1.1, 6.1.3, 6.1.5, 6.1.6, 6.1.7, and 6.1.8 as submitted at the March 24th, 2026 regular board meeting. Looking for a mover, please.
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Agnew moves. For a second, Trustee Saunders. Seconds, I'll take this to a recorded vote. Trustee Kennedy, how do you vote? Yeah. Trustee Agnew?
In favor.
Vice Chair Panchinada?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly? Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders? Favor. Trustee Murphy? Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Thank you. Trustee Persuram?
Favor.
Trustee Adelier?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
We have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention, motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Our next order of business is item number 9, action items. 9.1, 2026 municipal elections. trustee distribution and determination. This item was shared at the last board meeting as a staff report. It is now an action item. I'm going to ask Superintendent Love to present, and if at all trustees have any questions, we have lawyer Brad Teichman online to answer questions. So, Superintendent Love.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, please find attached the action report regarding trustee distribution and determination. Based on the information to date, staff is recommending a status quo position with respect to the upcoming Monday, October 26, 2026 municipal election. Branko Vidovic, our Senior Manager of Planning Services, Brad Teichman, a partner with Overland LLP, are available to answer any questions. Mr. Chair, maybe to read the motion or?
No, I'd like to present about the item. If there's any presentation, I'll read the motion and place it on the table. I'll put up the questions to trustees because we have 6 motions now, and so trustees can make a decision on that. So if you have a presentation to make,
sure, I could just do a quick run through the report. So there, like Superintendent Locke said, there's been no changes from the 2022 election. The Education Act, Section 58.1, no changes. Ontario Regulation 412/00, no change. And there was no new trustee determination and distribution guideline. So we are following the guideline from 2022, and we've confirmed with the ministry that all these legislative frameworks are still applicable. So the trustee determination guideline is part of the package. In terms of the total number of trustees, it's really based on population and calculations. There is on page 98 of the package, there's a table 1. So it really is based on the population that we have, and the population is based on impacts head report that we received on February 13th. And then also enrollment calculations as well. If you look at figure 1, it's really item 1 and item 12. There's ranges for both. And it's stipulated in the regulation 412/00 in terms of the number of trustees. And based on figure 1, it really looks at the greater of box 11 and box 12 and the population. So no change from 2022. We are still at 9 trustees. There was no demographic changes to justify increasing or decreasing the number of trustees. In terms of trustee distribution, it would be the same as 2022. We did solicit trustee feedback in terms of how we allocate the trustees. We have kept the draft recommendation as status quo from 2022, but if the trustees wish to amend or look at alternatives, we can do that as well. But as it stands now, based on the PEG report, there would be 1 trustee for Halton Hills, 2 trustees for Milton, 3 for Burlington, and 3 for Oakville, with being a total of 9 trustees. And it's based on that electoral quotient formula that you can find that on figure 2 on page 100. And then we would also have to designate a lead municipality as part of this process. Oakville would remain the lead municipality. It has our largest population, and they would be responsible for key election functions such as nominations and results. We also need to designate low population areas. But through our recommendations, we don't need to designate any areas as low population areas, as all municipalities already have adequate representation. In terms of compliance and deadlines, we need to approve the number of trustees, distribution, and we need to make a decision if we're going to have any low population areas by March 31st of this year, and by April 3rd, we need to submit a final report to the Minister of Education, the municipal clerks within our 4 municipalities, and other school boards that have jurisdiction within the Halton region. Based on the formula that we figured out, the decisions generally can be appealable if the deviation deviates too far from representation by population. But based on what we calculated and what we're proposing, it does meet legislative requirements and it avoids an appeal risk. And that basically covers it. In terms of an appeal, the municipality has a right to appeal, but based on the regulation and what the act stipulates, if you look at table 2 under the total electoral portion, the deviation has to be 0.45 difference or higher. So for example, let's say for town of Halton Hills, if we wanted to, for whatever reason, give 2 trustees for the town of Halton Hills, that would be something that would be appealable because their electoral quotient is 1.7, because the difference would be higher than 0.45. So based on the calculations we've done, nothing in terms of how we've calculated the trustees would be subject to appeal by the municipalities as we'd be in line with the legislative frameworks. So I'd be happy to have any questions on this. And as Superintendent Law said, we do have Brad Teichman, partner at LLP, Overland LLP on the line as well.
Thank you. So I shall read the motion, and but before I go to the motions, trustees, we have 2 distinct groups of motions. The first one is making Oakville the lead municipality, and the next 4 motions can be grouped together as being similar and based on status quo from assignments. So if trustees agree, we shall hold on. So if trustees agree, we'll take the first motion, move it, second it, vote on it, and then the rest of the 4 motions we can take all together, one mover and seconder, and then get all of them approved, rather than going through the whole lengthy process. Trustee Saunders, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I didn't understand. So the first motion was
So
what?
the first motion is making Oakville the lead municipality.
Okay,
That's a requirement of the act,
okay.
as I mentioned. All right. So that motion is different from the rest of the.
Thank you.
So we'll take them separately and. Okay, trustees are okay with that? Okay. So with that, we'll have the first motion on the screen.
So Chair, I had a question for representatives.
Oh, yeah, so let's put this motion. Okay. So if your motion, your question is regarding who is the lead, and we'll take questions at that point in time, and then combine the rest of them. So first motion, I'll read the motion, place it on the table, and then we can take it. I'll read the motion, whereas trustee representation should not deviate unduly from the principles of representation by population. Be it resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board confirms that the town of Oakville shall be the lead municipality with respect to the 2026 municipal election, and that the Halton Catholic District School Board hereby determines not to designate any of the geographic areas in its jurisdiction as low population area, and that the number of trustees determined by the Halton Catholic District School Board for the 2026 English Catholic School Trustee election in Halton is 9, and that the number of trustees by geographic distribution is established as 1 for the town of Halton Hills, 2 for the town of Milton, 3 for the city of Burlington, and 3 for the town of Oakville for the 2026 English Catholic School Trustee elections in Halton. May I have a mover for this item? Looking for a mover. Trustee Saunders moves. Trustee Caravella seconds it. Okay. So now we shall open up question time for one item. So question time is 3 minutes. So trustees, if you have questions, please raise your hand. Trustee Saunders, you have a hand up?
That's for you.
You've got 3 minutes, starts now.
Okay, so just 2 quick questions. What's the significance of being the lead? What does that mean?
All questions, trustees, all questions.
To the chair. Okay, so Chair, what is the significance of Oakville being the lead?
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Mr. Vivekovic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. So maybe I'll start, and then if Brad Teichman, the lawyer on the call, wants to add to it. So essentially, it's a requirement as part of the regulation that we need to follow, and essentially what the lead municipality is responsible for. They would be responsible for key election functions such as nominations results. So it would be kind of like the caretaker for the results within Halton region for us.
A second quick question, Chair. How are the numbers established? Is it based on how people are filling out their tax returns? Is that how we get the numbers in each area?
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So what the regulations stipulates that we have to use a PEG report is the population electoral group that we get from MPAC. So it really determine if you as a householder change your status as a separate supporter instead of a public school supporter. So by the default is a public supporter. You would actually have to talk to MPAC and ask them to be switched over to a separate school board supporter.
My final question, when is this as of? Is this as of last year, 2 years ago, or when was the impact data?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the PEG report from MPAC we get every 4 years, and we received the report from MPAC February 13th this year. So
It was as of
2026, yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any other trustees have questions regarding the first motion? Can we have the motion back on screen, please? Okay, with that, I shall close question time, open up debate time. Any trustees want to debate on that? If not, I shall call the vote on the motion we see on the screen. No questions. So I shall call the vote on the motion we see on the screen. It was moved by trustee Sanders, seconded by trustee Campbell. Trustee Agnew, how do you vote? Vice Chair Janata?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Sanders? Favor. Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Parasram?
In favor.
Trustee Adeli?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy? So we have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention, motion carries. So this is the first motion. Trustees have agreed on the next 4 motions to be taken together. We shall display it on the screen. I shall read it out. We'll have one mover, seconder for that, for these motions. The first motion, be it resolved that for the 2026 English Catholic School Trustee election in Halton, the town of Halton Hills will be represented by 1 trustee at large. Can I have the second motion up? Be it resolved that for the 2026 English Catholic School Trustee elections in Halton, the town of Milton will be represented by 2 trustees through the combination of the following: A, Ward 1 and 4, B, Ward 2 and 3. Can I have the third one? Be it resolved that for the 2026 English Catholic School Trustee elections in Halton, the city of Burlington will be represented by 3 trustees through the combination of the following: A, Wards 1 and 2, B, Wards 3 and 6, C, Wards 4 and 5. And the last motion is be it resolved that for the 2026 English Catholic Trustee elections in Halton, the town of Oakville will be represented by 3 trustees through the combination of the following wards: Wards A, Wards 1, 2, and 3, B, Wards 4 and 7, and C, Wards 5 and 6. These are the 4 motions. May I have a mover for these motions?
I'll move it.
Moved by Vice Chair Janata and seconded by Trustee Sanders. Trustee, I shall open up question time. Do we have questions on these motions? Saying none, close question time, debate time. Trustees want to debate on this? Saying none, close debate time. I shall now call the vote on all the 4 motions that we saw. All the 4 motions were moved by Vice Chair Janata and seconded by Trustee Sanders. With that, I shall call the vote. Vice Chair Janata, how do you vote?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Sanders? Favor. Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Parasram?
In favor.
Trustee Adeli?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy? In favor. Trustee Agnew?
In favor.
We have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. These 4 motions carry. Thank you, Mr. Vidovic. And Superintendent Lords and your team for preparing notice, and our lawyer, Solomon. Thank you so much. We shall now move on to action item 9.2. Policy I-446, delegation to the board. Can we have that up on screen, please? Trustee Agnew, as Chair of Policy, could you read the motion, please?
Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board accept the recommendation of the Policy Committee that Policy I-06 delegation to the board be approved.
Thank you. Trustee Agnew will move this motion. This motion comes to the board from policy. We need only a mover. Trustee Agnew, as policy chair, was this policy discussed and debated? Well, policy?
It was, Mr. Chair, yes.
This was requested to be removed by Trustee Kennedy. Trustee Kennedy, is it for question time, debate time?
No, just there wasn't unanimous time.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Just because it wasn't unanimous consent, and I find it a bit restrictive, the policy. So I didn't vote for a policy, so I just not.
Sounds okay. Thank you. So we have no question and debate time, so take it directly to a recorded mover. So we are going to vote on item 9.2, policy I-06. 9.2, so 9.2, policy I-06, delegation to the board. It has come to the board from policy, does not need a mover. So I shall call the vote on this item. Trustee Kelly, how do you vote?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders? Opposed. Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Parasram? Trustee Adelgate?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
Opposed.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy?
Opposed.
Trustee Agnew?
In favor.
Vice Chair Vanchanana?
In favor.
So we have 5 in favor, 3 opposed, no abstention, motion carries, the policy is approved. So now move on to policy item 9.4, policy I-25 purchasing. This was a conflict of interest, right, Trustee Saunders? That's right. Okay. So you cannot participate in this discussion of. So Trustee Agnew, can you please read the motion?
Sure. Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board accept the recommendation of the Policy Committee that Policy I-25 purchasing be approved.
Thank you. Trustee Agnew moves this motion. It has come to the board from policy and does not need a mover. And we need only a mover. So once again, Trustee Agnew, has this policy been discussed and debated?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it was.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now with this, Trustee Kelly, just correct my memory. Did you declare conflict on this item?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, sorry. Thanks. Okay, I shall call the vote on this item if there's questions. Do you have questions?
We need a seconder. Do you have a second?
No, it comes from policy. You just need a mover.
Don't need a second?
No, it's moved by the committee. So it's standard for policy. Okay, so if there are no questions, we don't want to get into debate. I shall now call the vote on item 9.4, policy I-25 purchasing. Trustee Saunders, how do you vote? Oh, sorry. Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Parasram?
Favor.
Trustee Adelier?
Favor.
Trustee Hannah? Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Powell?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy?
In favor.
Trustee Agnew?
In favor.
Vice Chair Vanchanana?
In favor.
We have 6 in favor, none opposed, no abstention, motion carries. Policy I-25 purchasing is approved. We shall now move to our next order of business, which is information items, item number 11. We do not have staff reports, item number 10. Number 11, information reports. 11.1, director's update. Director Klein, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair. Skip to the next one, please, Rosa. Just again, always a great opportunity to share the good things that are happening at the board and to give a sense of how the priorities of the AMOSP are constantly being addressed at so many different levels. Just to highlight some things that trustees in many ways are likely aware of, but I think it's important to show that these are, again, priorities and areas of focus that should be recognized by all. The Ministry of Education released the revised grades 7, 8, and 10 history curriculum or curricula in February of this year, not that long ago, and it's going to take effect in September. And we are very grateful. Anybody who teaches is always grateful when the curriculum is released more than a week or two before you have to begin teaching it. And so this is really great. It is available on ministry websites. It's very accessible for anyone out there, parents or students as well. And you can see that there are guides and companion documents that help kind of look at what it was and what it is, what the key changes are. But I think it's important that some areas of focus of change are ones that I think reflect the priorities of this board and the priorities of the province. For instance, a greater focus on exploring the roles that Black individuals and Black communities have played in shaping Canada and the province of Ontario, as well as the challenges that they encountered. Grade 10 history introduces new learning focused on extreme political and social ideologies, and even addresses the tragedies of anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, and the tragedy and the famine in Ukraine as well. Training for teachers is going to be provided over the next weeks and months. The board will be part of that, and that's been helped facilitated by the Ministry of Education. There's no, as far as we know, unless there's some surprise this week that we'd be very happy about, we were told that there's no monies that are going to be allocated in order to help facilitate this. And there are partnerships throughout the province in terms of helping with the teaching of it as well. Math, of course, is a big priority here, and Superintendent Skripik isn't the only one who helps lead the charge in it. We have a myriad of teachers and leaders around the board that help provide different ways of celebrating mathematics and STEM. And we want to just highlight that there's a team math challenge that's happening this coming month, April 17th. That's at Thomas Merton Center for Continuing Ed. It's for the high school students, and as many as 120 students could participate in it. It's no one's forced, it's voluntary, but as many as that. And they're engaged in team-based problem-solving activities that promotes strategic thinking, mathematical reading and perseverance. There's a special presentation and an interactive session facilitated by the Center of Education, Mathematics and Computing from the University of Waterloo. Obviously, most people would understand that from the University of Waterloo, that's one of their big specialties is mathematics beyond others. And so it's going to be great that they are there. And students are given the opportunity to work collaboratively and independently to solve some complex problems in the areas where math is, as it is works with other areas in terms of science, tech, and engineering. Pastoral highlights, smaller font, many bullets. Just a continuation or extension of the last report that again celebrated the installation of our new Bishop, Joseph Dabrowski. Our students, obviously facilitated by staff, our teachers, our chaplains, and others, have created a series of welcoming videos for the newly installed bishop. The videos can be found on our social media accounts, and they're released kind of a bit at a time. It's kind of teasers and energizers, and they're considered really spiritual bouquets for the bishop in terms of a welcome to our diocese and from the students from Halton. Central staff also created shared learning resources upon the installation so that students can learn a little bit more about the role of the bishop, which we know is multifaceted. And we like to think about it in education as the first role, picture of the bishop is really as a teacher and a leader in terms of the gospel. The Journeying for Jesus preparation has begun at Catholic Education Week, which marks the first full week of May. Traditionally, that's when we've done Journeying with Jesus, and we'll do that on, I believe, the 7th. And the theme for that week is Pilgrims of Hope on the Path to Holiness. The Halton Lives Inspire Hope project is something that we've continued to support. We want to surpass last year's gift of several hundred handmade paper flowers, which are given to people in extended care and nursing homes in the region. Catholic Education Week, again, the materials for Catholic Education Week for this year began probably 48 hours after last year's Catholic Education Week, but they tend to extend throughout the year. And so really there's nothing left, I think, for our educators to be able to to use to support that, including beautiful music, great liturgies, and all sorts of resources and books to help solidify that theme that I mentioned earlier. We have continuing adult faith formation. I just want to let you know that those sessions have been well attended as well. Our chaplains are participating with our social workers and our child and youth care workers and guidance counselors in school mental health activities and capacity building. We don't see those as distinct. Those are all weaved or woven together. And I think that's an evolution of thought in terms of how those are not competing, but those work together. Theological Theme Committee, we are drawing to the conclusion of our theological theme. And you will learn in the next month, I believe, I'm looking over at Superintendent Nar, what the next year's theme will be. Do I know it? Yes, I do. Will I tell you? Never, never, never. But we are excited about that. And it takes a long time to come up with those themes. Because what do they say? It's like politics. You govern by prose, but you campaign in poetry. The themes and the reflect the values that will guide us over the next 4 years. Put up your hand if you've ever been frustrated by the fact that it's been hard to staff some of our secondary sections and classes. You can put them down now. That does continue, but it is good news to hear the news that we got last week from the Ontario College of Teachers. That gives a little bit of flexibility in accreditation and staffing as well. So if you were to be a technology teacher, like all teachers, you get your credentials in certain areas. But when you get into high school, it's more difficult to teach X unless you are qualified for X. And we have some, it's possible to have your credentials for teaching grade 9 and 10, but you might not be able to teach grade 11 and 12. The revisions from the College of Teachers don't make it a walkthrough, but make it a little easier in terms of staffing for that, for us to have that flexibility. And I know when we sent that to Clutterbuck and others here on the team, that was met with a great virtual, at least on our email, applause regarding that. I'm really grateful to the College of Teachers to think about that, respond to that. And that is, again, very good news for us in terms of our flexibility. Never do they seem to run out of energy, and that is our central and our school staffs that lead forward, something that typifies this board, something we're very proud of, and something that I think is, let's be honest, a bit of a competitive advantage. That is the work we do in STEAM. So again, even the terminology is beautiful. Dream Forward, STEAM Ahead conference, which is to be held this coming weekend. And it is an in-person event. It's available for our staff and staff outside of the board as well at St. Francis. Again, staff, not just from here, but from around the province, are able to put their name in and to participate in this. And again, it's an opportunity for our teachers to work with others, to learn from others. That ability to share knowledge can never go unrecognized. Because teaching can be, at its worst, sometimes a bit of a lonely profession. When you have the opportunity to work with others, it can synergize and lead to much greater impact and effect. Networking, of course, the ability to showcase some innovation, see what we're doing at this school, at this class, and to share with others as well is a way that we hone our skills and get better at our work. Of course, building collaboration, which there's many books and research that shows that has greater impact on student achievement and well-being, but also in a sense of teachers' efficacy, which is really important as well. C'est tout, c'est ça. There's questions. That was French, and I will not teach French.
You sound like French.
Thank you.
Because I fell down earlier. Was it?
Should now open up the floor to trustees for questions. Trustees, please raise your hand up if you have questions. Trustee Saunders?
Yes, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. So Director Klein, so as you notice, I'm a member of the Métis Nation of Ontario. and soon to be the Métis Nation of Manitoba. And I'm wondering, in your first section where you're achieving, I know that you had attended an off-site this year on First Nations. I'm wondering, how is that going to inform our history program in terms of First Nations? What are we doing to sort of improve that?
I'll take the questions. Thank you. So I'll pass this on to Director Klein, and if you'd like to answer.
Yeah, I think thanks for noting that. You'll recall that back before Christmas, I had joined some other educators at the invitation of some of the elders in Manitoulin Island for a trip up there. It was as someone who's born and raised in the north, to head back up and go across the water and spend some time in the bush. It's always something that is invaluable. And the opportunity for us to gather with some of the elders, to hear stories, to be part of smudges, and to be able to really be taken to what I would call sacred territory was phenomenal. A superintendent now, Prusen, was with us at that point. Just again, since you asked the question, just to share a bit, one of the opportunities for me that was pivotal and memorable was a point where we had a very sacred area, and we had the opportunity to, out of the blue, see a bald eagle soaring above us, which, I mean, I don't have to be an expert on that. That's something special there. And the elder we were with said that was absolutely special. So it was really a sense that there was a sense of healing, a sense of blessing. The vista that we were able to see too made you feel like you were in a group of 7 painting. Strangely enough, someone said that on the other shore, past a couple of islands, that's where Lauren Harris, or one of the group of 7, did some of his painting as well. Ms. Saville was with us too. Sherry was there as well. And I could turn it over to Superintendent Kroll to give a sense of it. But part of this is to look at our plan in terms of Indigenous education, in terms of equity as well, to give a sense for us the importance of the connections to our elders, the connections to, we were at a Jesuit mission church at one point, got a real sense of sitting there in that wigwam designed church to interact and take a look at a history that was a history of salvation and education, but also suffering and of some decimation and destruction. And to get a sense that maybe for us as educators, we can heed that call about that said from the report on Truth and Reconciliation, that education got us into some of these problems, and maybe education can get us out of those problems. And for us, I think it's important for leaders to connect with that and resonate with that, and to also build bridges with First Nations as well. We've had, since that time, one of the elders come to work in some of our schools. I know I do weekly reports for trustees, and I know that was noted as well, that I had gone to one of them a couple of weeks ago to see the work that he was doing with some of our students, which was, you could hear a pin drop in terms of the how that impacted our students as well. So it is important for us leaders. We have others who are with us. I shared that certainly with the senior team, to go to that well, to be sustained by it, to learn, because we have to be able to practice what we're preaching so that we can have some attraction to make real inroads. I'm not sure if Superintendent Kroll wants to add any more, or if Superintendent Prusen wants to add anything more to that as well. I would have to say it was not, in all fairness, and again, I'll go back to growing up north, not that I expected it, but it was not 5-star. We were roughing it in the bush to a certain extent. And I think when the power went out on one day for the entire day, that was maybe the cherry on top for some people, but it was a good opportunity to again learn a lot and commune. And as Catholics, we know that sometimes in the silence, the Spirit speaks to us, and it was a good opportunity for me personally, and I think many others. I find sometimes I encounter that more sometimes when I'm in nature.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That one.
certainly through you, Mr. Chair, and it'll be hard for me to add more than what John's already said, except that this is the second opportunity that HC DSP staff have had to attend a retreat like this. So we did have some of our grade 11 English teachers attend last year in preparation for the NBE curriculum. And the feedback that Sherry took and then sort of was that it would be important for board leaders to have a similar or same experience as part of our ongoing commitment to truth and reconciliation.
Okay, Trustee Saunders, you have follow?
I'm not sure if Superintendent Pearson wants to add.
Pearson?
Through you, Chair. Thank you. Mr. Saunders, the experience was incredible, to say the least, in terms of bridging. I think as John talked about, bridging the experience to the learning, bringing back some of that value into the school community, seeing opportunities down the road. We've sent teachers, we've sent leadership, potentially down the road, having students experience that learning in that time. There would be maybe a goal down the road, because I think we have to practice what we create sharing, and going there, I think brings value to the curriculum, it brings value to experience, and brings value to Sherry's role in the board as well.
But Chair, I'm not sure if Superintendent Del Sordo might want to share a bit on that too, because as pathways, speaking of pathways, as pathways superintendent too, he has a broad sense of some of the how this might connect as well. Superintendent?
Superintendent also.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Trustee Saunders, one of the things that we have been doing for the past 4 years is really look at Indigenous ways of knowing, doing, and being. And we honor that way of learning as an addition, differentiated way for students to understand how to enter knowledge and then how to apply it. And we have our elders in the community be the teachers and the instructors, so that we have teachers that bring their students there, and we're building the capacity for teachers while we also do it up at the Country Heritage Park.
Thank you. Maybe Trustee Saunders, okay. Any other trustees have any questions, comment, Director Klein? Seeing none, thank you, Director Klein, for presenting your update. We appreciate it. Thanks. Up next, item 11.2, Rosary in Schools. I'm going to pass this to Superintendent Kroll. And
I'll start it if you want. Superintendent Kroll and I will we'll tag team it a bit. Thank you very much, Chair. The report itself is a synthesis of what we've done, but as for your reading pleasure, we also added the one previous to it, just in case you don't think that you hit your head or something and you missed it. The one that came before is attached to it, but this report itself that precedes it, in writing it, we thought this was a bit of a synthesis. So if it comes off a little confusing, that was our thought on it. I think it's fairly straightforward. I believe the purpose says it all. This follows, of course, the notice of motion regarding the Rosary apostolate in the schools from June of last year, and the subsequent board report that was in October of this past year. It might seem like a lifetime ago, but yes, believe it or not, it's within the last 10 months, which requested some background on the Rosary programming and the plan to enhance or continue or restart those with the parishes, of course. And we all recognize that we say it all the time, that parish, school, and home triad is very important. And engineers will say that triangles are the strongest shape. So we would assume that is true. The report notes some of the context in it, or respecting the fact that the plan, as it were, the response we're giving you has to be embedded in some of the context. First of all, first one is that we have a prayer is something that is reflected, exercised, promoted, celebrated in everyday life in our schools. The second is that we have the mandate from the bishops, in particular, who are, we all agree in terms of faith, the primary teachers of it. The bishops are clear in the fact that what we teach in terms of religion is something that is mandated through the programs that have been developed by them, and as we extend it, the resources and the texts that we use as well. And those come from the bishops, the Institute for Catholic Education resources, and of course, they're approved by the bishops themselves. And that we honor the fact that we have partnership with others, and volunteer participation is something that's important as a board, as it has been for generations, and that we can welcome parish volunteers to pray the rosary with the students outside of instructional time. And that's an approach that was supported by the diocese as far back as 2018, and there's been no revision to that in that time. Many schools do have volunteers and staff who lead the rosary during lunch, both in elementary and secondary contexts. That is not something that is fixed in time, but something that shifts and moves. So it's almost impossible to say, here's the number of schools that have that right now, because it could, well, Murphy's Law would be that it would change by tomorrow, and that in some cases it might be something that's not necessarily fully supported by the local parish, or could be a week later. Pastors move, pastors leave, leads within parishes come, leads in parishes go. Staff in schools shift and change, and so those can't necessarily be fixed or predicted. We've met with the Halton Deanery. Halton Deanery, of course, is the assembly of all the parishes and pastors for the parishes. We do meet regularly. The first of the year, we host it here. We met as recently as just over a month ago. And one of the things that was addressed was specifically this. And just to reiterate that we are, again, like the report says, open to this. We have certain guidelines and boundaries within that. One of the pastors himself spoke up just to remind everybody that is the way we've done this for years and the way we'll continue to do that. Noted the memo and the communique from the Diocese of 2018. And there was, if not applause, at least agreement by all there. That was, I think it's a good opportunity to have every one of our pastors who could make it, but there's the opportunity to be there. And as such, we want to make sure that we have, as we see on the bottom of the second page of the report, clear expectations or clear understandings of the following. Volunteers are welcome. The principals and pastors are encouraged to meet to determine what works best in the school parish context. All volunteers, obviously, there's something I said? No. That that there are protocols that are in place and guidelines around that. These volunteers and this work occurs outside instructional time to avoid interrupting curriculum delivery. And it's scaffolded within the religion curriculum. The religion curriculum is Superintendent Kroll has reminded us it has the rosary throughout it and opportunities to pray it and to recite it. Something that's important is well before my time, and I think any other senior leader's time here, going back probably generations, there is really a procedure and a rhythm of school years that see the principal of a school meet with the pastor of a parish regular. Generally speaking, if you're really lucky, you're invited to the parish in June and they cook for you. Otherwise, you meet somewhere and you do have food and you meet. But this happens everywhere. And it's important to know that those timelines are key. You meet, you plan out your year. The pastor is there with the principal. The principal often brings one or two people from the staff. Often in a parish, there's either a deacon or someone else there who's the school liaison. They go by different names. And you map out your year. You map out your year in terms of supporting the sacraments, in terms of masses and sacrament of reconciliation, et cetera. But part of it does give that opportunity for us to say, okay, in this, are we able to do something like this? If yes, how are we going to do that? And that's through that. September to June, then those things like that would be implemented. And as the year winds down, it's an opportunity to review it. Sometimes that means it's revised in some way, could be extended, broadened, changed, or bent, depending on the context and the needs of the school and of that parish. And I think it's also important to highlight that this year we've been, unlike other years, we've added on that gift really through the synodal path that Pope Francis began years ago. And that, and again, supported by our current Pope and our current Bishop, the synodal path of listening deeply, learning from one another, and moving forward. And so we have had, as has been reported before, opportunities for school leads and parish leads to connect through conversations in the spirit, where through Linda Stout, former director from London District Catholic School Board, who is the only, I think, Canadian woman, lay woman, who's been at the synod over the last several years to lead us through that a really unique and very treasured opportunity to walk through the synod itself. So we've even, I think, embellished it and add to it as well. And that, not sure if Superintendent Kroll has anything to add in that regard, but
or not to speak after Director Clinton.
Accepted. Okay. Shall now open up the floor to trustees for questions. Trustee Saunders, you have a hand up.
That's me, Mr. Chair. I was actually called in by one of the pastors of our church, and his concern was that because the rosary is only taught during lunch and after school, that we were missing a big opportunity to engage students. And like, as I mentioned before, I went to a Jesuit high school, and the rosary was part of the curriculum. I'm not sure how the rosary is not part of the curriculum. It should be taught during class, not at times when you're going to lose a lot of students. So he went through this 2018 document with me. He demonstrated that there was nothing in there that prevented us from teaching it during the day. And I'm just wondering why we don't teach it during the day and why we've chosen to teach it at different times.
Thank you. So this is how we handle it. If a pastor calls you regarding operational matters, tell them this is the superintendent of the school, this is the principal of the school. Please talk to them. They will work with you. Our role as trustees has to be clear. When we are in our 4th year as trustees, we have operations, we have governance as roles. So if you say that a pastor has spoken to you about an operational matter, the right way to do it is tell a pastor, there's a principal in that school, there's a superintendent in that school, and there's a director of education. So it's their role to follow the tribe.
Yes. Okay. I believe he spoke to you after he spoke to me.
Yeah. So this is the answer to many of the pastors. We have, it's an operation. We have a director who's an employee who has further staff, and I've explained this many times. I hope it's clear. So we have to really not get into operations, and that's not our role at all, but we have to facilitate. So our role is to put the pastor in touch with the, suggest the name, and then off they go. And I think that works very well. It's been working very well in the past. I think that's the way we should handle it moving forward. So,
okay. Thank you, Chair. Is it appropriate to say, why are we not teaching it during our regular curriculum?
So if you read the report, and you have a deeper understanding of what the report says, that the rosary is embedded into everything that we do. Yeah. If you read the part 1 of the report and the reason why it's put together, so we don't lose track. The first part of the report from several months back has a lot of operational stuff that we do already in school. It talks about grades, each grade, what we do. So it's already embedded into that. This is something that is above and beyond the curriculum that we have, which is a nice thing to have. And it has been done in our schools, has been very well been accepted by parishes, by volunteers. And the ask is to go through the parish office to the schools. And there's a couple of items that Director Klein talked about. Non-instructional time, there has to be a teacher present there, and the third one. So it's
called volunteer.
Volunteers, yeah. So it's a proper structured system. So so I'm going to ask you once again, if anybody approaches you, pastor approaches you, just tell them, go follow the process, follow the system. We have principals, we have superintendents for a reason. Others We could be superintendents pretty well, or principals, and do things ourselves. So that's not the way it works. We have governance, stick to governance, we have staff in place, let them handle stuff. And we work collaboratively with everybody. Cool. Okay. Any further questions? Trustee Kirabala?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I did wanted to dovetail on Trustee Saunders' question. I did go through the first report as well. So it shows in grade 3 and grade 4, part of the curriculum is that they may say the rosary or they may say decade. So if a teacher requests a volunteer to come into the class, to engage the class, to recite the rosary, that would be okay. That would be okay.
Let me check with the.
During the time in terms of, so let's get the context here. So a teacher, from what I understand, you're saying a teacher would be, at this point in the program, the curriculum, she would want to be teaching the rosary.
Yeah, she'd be wanting to take.
Because it's in that's where we are right now in terms of teaching. Okay, and so you can get a volunteer to come in. Now, assuming we've got the checks in terms of volunteers, right? I don't see that as an issue in terms of, obviously there's rules around volunteers in the school, right? Superintendent Kroll?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I guess what I would say is we have a very specific set curriculum for the Institute of Catholic Education and the Association of Bishops of Ontario that we're expected to deliver. That's what makes us distinctly Catholic. And I think the issue would be that we want to make sure that we're teaching what's in the curriculum in that grade. So if like in the chart that's in the report from October, it says students begin learning the rosary structure, right? So if a volunteer can help that classroom teacher teach the rosary structure, that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
For a volunteer to come in and lead students in maybe all of the rosary, that might not be appropriate for that grade based on curriculum expectations. That make sense?
Yeah, I think there was, through you, Mr. Chair, that it was outlined which grade they may do a decade or they may do the whole rosary. And this is a teacher would ask that volunteer to come in as a resource for that specific moment in the curriculum. That's what, just sort of not ruling it out as a possibility.
Yes, if I can add.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see that being any different than any guest speaker we might bring in that might be able to help with an expertise.
Right.
But again, our responsibility as a Catholic school system is to teach the curriculum provided by the bishop. So we want to make sure we're very clear with our teachers that they must teach the curriculum as it's written and it's been embedded.
Thank you. Trustee Kirabala?
Just to follow up on that about the volunteers and the protocol and procedures. So, and we also we're going through the police checks and that. So if, I'm sure the parish also does that, police checks, do they qualify as the same police checks for then the school, or do they have to photocopy them, or that's all taken care of? That's in.
I can answer a little bit of that. With some experience of that. So the parish does their own police checks because the Diocese of Hamilton requires that to be done.
Yes.
So that's done by the parish. They keep a track of that. Make sure I'm not sure how many years that's valid for. But over and above that, superintendent role, do we really need?
Yeah, and I might get Superintendent Beckett to help me with this, but my understanding would be that if I've applied for a police check for one organization, as long as it meets the requirements of the other organization, I shouldn't have to reapply for a police check. But
it's Superintendent Beckett.
Thank you, Chair. And to follow Superintendent Kroll, that's correct. They would have to meet the requirements.
Thank you. Trustee Kirabala, you have a follow up on that?
No, I just have a third question.
Third question. I see no other hands up, so go ahead.
So the timelines, that's very good to know, and I'm very interesting to see. And I'm just wondering, is that something new, or has this been going on in the past as well? And now perhaps we're going to add this focus on the rosary into the May to June meetings. Is this new, these timelines? I know that
those timelines are not, sorry, Chair, the timelines are not new. As I was saying earlier, these are so established, they're not even written down in a policy or procedure. This is just the rhythm of a school year would be that the principal and or his team would meet with the parish team to plan for the year ahead in all regards, and that would be something that would be included.
Yeah, any further questions, trustees? Thank you, trustees, for your questions. Thank you, Director Klein, for presenting the report. Shall now move on to item 11.3. Appointment of student trustees, numbering by superintendent, is ordered to present the report.
Through you, Chair, it is a pleasure for me to introduce to you at least two of the three of our trustees. So when we talk about bad timing, I'm going to try to, take some time to make sure that she comes in before I do an official opportunity. But I'd like for us to understand that we have an exciting group of students in our board, and these students come with incredible skills and problem solving and just genuine interest to make the world better for everyone. And so when people ask about, how can you sleep at night knowing that the world is the way it is, I think of their leadership and that our future is going to be perfect, and what an honor it is for us to be really in service of their leadership and their voice. Having participated in their election and was privy to listening to all the candidates and their speeches and the interviews that the senators all had for them, it was very impressive. And honestly, the caliber of candidates that we have within our system is something that should be put on YouTube and celebrated, because it does speak to the greatness that's in our schools, and it does speak to the greatness of what we do every day in our classrooms, thanks to teachers and to the administrators. And literally I was going on and on.
Thank you.
I was like,
Thank you.
slowly cool. Yeah. We know. I want you to talk how great you are.
Oh, thank you.
So the purpose of tonight is really to inform you of the results of the election and to introduce you to the 2026-27 student trustees. So on Wednesday, February 25th, the election of the student trustees for the 26-27 school year took place at St. Ignatius of Loyola Catholic Secondary School. And the secondary school submitted the names of 8 candidates, all of whom were, again, of excellent caliber, demonstrating a commitment to Catholic education, as well as an extensive involvement in their respective school and community. The candidates had an opportunity to articulate their rationale for expressing interest in representing the students of Halton Catholic District School Board, and candidates responded to numerous questions from student senators. After all the candidates were interviewed, the student senate voted on the ballots provided. The staff advisors, and thank you to the leadership of Vice Principal Allison, Principal Busby, Vice Principal Seraphin, and the St. Kateri Tekawitha Catholic Secondary School chaplaincy leader, Andrea Taylor, for supervising and counting the ballots. As a result of the Wednesday election on February 25th, the following 3 student trustees were elected by the Student Senate for the 26-27 school year. I'd like to introduce you to Gabriella Toki. Gabriella is currently a grade 11 honor roll student at Assumption Catholic Secondary School. She demonstrates consistent leadership across academics, athletics, the arts, student governance, and community advocacy. Gabriella serves as Vice President of the Assumption Black Student Association and is an active member and past panelist with the Black Empowered United Students. She's also a Year 3 member of the Assumption Student Council. In addition, Gabriella is a member of the girls rugby team and deeply engaged in Assumption Crusaders Theater. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabriella. From North Halton, we have Pierre Hanna.
Pierre Hanna is currently a grade 10 honor roll student and pre-international baccalaureate student at St. Kateri Tekakwitha Catholic Secondary School. He demonstrates strong leadership skills and is committed to making a positive impact with the school community as a member of the Student Senate. Through his work on the Student Senate Faith and Action Subcommittee, Pierre helped propose the Halton Catholic District School Board Funding Futures campaign, a funding supporting families in need. In addition, he participates in peer tutoring programs and the school chaplaincy team. Outside of school, Pierre is a member of the Milton Marlin swim team and the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. Ladies and gentlemen, Pierre Hanna. And from the Oakville community, we have Guilherme de Almeida. I've been practicing. Guilherme is currently a grade 11 honor roll student at St. Ignatius of Loyola Catholic Secondary School. He's been an active member of the Student Council for the past 3 years and currently a lead on the Student Council Executive. Guilherme is actively engaged in a wide range of school and community initiatives, and he participates in the STEAM program, the Extended French program, and the Specialist High Skills Major program. His commitment to inclusion and mentorship is demonstrated through his work with the Indigenous Advisory Committee, Best Buddies, and his Hawks mentorship program. As a frequent spokesperson at school events, and I assure you, he outbeats me any day. At school events and a peer tutor, he is a passionate advocate for elevating student voice across the school community. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to,
Thank you, Superintendent. That's sort of presenting our students, trustees. I'm going to open up the floor to trustees if they have any questions or comments. Trustees, please raise your hand if you have any comments. If not, I have a hand up. Trustee Caravella.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, welcome for next year, a little earlier welcome. So I appreciate all the leadership and your community involvement, everything you're doing. I was just curious because it wasn't mentioning your involvement in a parish or also worship. Are you involved in any way in that?
Is it directed at
all of you? Yeah. Just,
you want me to? I'm not directly related to any specific parish in the Burlington region, but I do attend church bi-weekly actually at Hope Oakville, which is a different subset of church. I fall under the Pentecostal faith, but I do strongly believe in the Catholic values that we hold here.
Me personally, being a member of the Coptic Orthodox faith from Egypt, I have very strong ties to our local Coptic and Catholic parishes in Halton, where I maintain very close connections with Father Jonathan, our local priest, and I have the utmost respect for both apostolic churches.
Not so much as involved in, like, let's say a specific church, but I do, as my volunteering for the retirement home, I'd go every single Sunday at 9:30 to go to attend the mass with them. And as well as like through the school, I do help with my like chaplain Wayne setting up events. And now we're trying to have Bible studies at lunch. So
great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Any other trustees? So good to see you all so involved with so many different multifaceted areas, and really appreciate that. Look forward to you. We have big shoes to fill, remember that. Okay. So we're looking forward to having you at the table and bringing student voice to the table. So once again, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come today. We look forward to seeing you in September.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Congratulations once again. Maybe what we can do is take a picture outside.
Sure. I mean, I was going to take them outside for the three of them. Are you wanting to pull everybody?
Maybe with the trustees, all the trustees, we can take a picture and then.
Absolutely. Okay, we shall move on to item 11.4, 2025-26 budget report, second quarter, September 1st, September 1, 2025 to February 28th, 2026. Superintendent Lopes, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, please find attached, everyone, our 25-26 budget report ending February 28, 2026. As always, this report gives the board a clear, transparent snapshot of our financial position at the halfway mark of the fiscal year. Just to address a couple of items. Revenues totaled $27.9 million, which is 52.2% of our revised budget, slightly ahead of the same period last year and well within our expected 50 to 60% range. Expenses totaled $269.5 million, or 50.2% of our revised budget, also tracking in line with expectations. Enrollment remains strong and has been updated with our actual numbers from the first count date of the year being October 31st, 2025, and an estimated number for March 31st, 2026. Projected average daily enrollment is now 36,532.81, up about 1% over last year. All major categories, classroom instruction, school support services, pupil accommodation, and transportation are on track. Staff continues to monitor and control expenditures diligently against the revised budget. Mr. Chair, our full report, including all appendices with attached variance expectations or explanations and year-over-year comparisons, and enrollment data is in the package for review. And one additional item I just want to mention is if you notice, there is actually a difference between the revised budget estimate and the revised budget forecast. The reason on the revenue side there's a difference is because of additional responsive education programs. We have another 59 million or so, or 59,000 in cybersecurity, 51,000 in additional early development instruments, 7,000 for supports for English language learners, and a 13,000 or so increase in LBS grants. On the expense side, we actually have 589,000 as a credit. And that's because we actually capitalized some items that were minor tangible capital assets. So we removed them from the operating budget and they were allocated to the capital budget. And of course, my deferred capital contribution would have went as well. And as well, we actually had a $130,000 increase as a result of the new RMPs that I mentioned before on the revenue side. Net effect is the same on the expense side, Mr. Chair, and the revenue side.
Thank you, Superintendent Lopes. Thank you to the staff behind the scene who prepares all this stuff. So a lot of work happening. So with this, I shall open up the floor to trustees. I did send an email out to trustees to send your questions in advance. I understand it's late, but late in the day. But the thing is, staff will do their best to answer the questions. But details, they will send you the information later. And to be fair, maintain respect with time. So we shall open up floor right now for trustees. Trustee Kennedy, you have the floor. You have questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just regarding questions, was it only for this specific topic you wanted questions in advance, not the other presentations?
No, this is a big report, and it does require time for staff to get you the details in a fair way. And I think we are here to do the job and give proper answers. That's the reason why I sent the email in advance. It helps staff put things together rather than digging through in the last minute. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, to Superintendent Cross, sorry. Just a question about international students, because you mentioned it in your report, and it mentions down by about 440,000. So I noticed like for years we've been growing that program. We went up to 35 students in 24-25, and now we're down to about 31, which is about 440,000 or 13%. Do you know why that would be the case after all those record years of growth?
Yeah, so I'll take the question, Trustee Kennedy. Superintendent Lopes.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair. I don't say it was record growth per se. We were at those levels before as well. And then we dropped out during COVID. Our numbers dropped significantly over COVID. There's a change in the environment right now. Mr. Chair, through you to Trustee Kennedy. So that's obviously part of it. I'm not sure if I might have a fair question to ask Superintendent Donofrio right now, but we can get further information and get back to you on that.
Thank you. You have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I just wondered, so we used to attend some fairs, the International Consultative Education Fairs, ICEF. And I believe we were doing that since 2014. What was the last fair that this board attended? We went since 14. What was the last one we did?
That was a couple of years back. Yeah, we got that.
It was February 25, to Dubai.
Pardon me, sir?
February 2025.
Probably, yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah, there was a report we did, and I just don't remember. I don't have that information. Trustee Kennedy.
So just wanted so if it's been a couple, like it's been a year, so if we did it since 2014 all the way to 25, the last year, why did we do? There was a presentation at the March board meeting this year, and it was to come to a vote at the April meeting, but it wasn't on the agenda, even though it said it would be on the agenda. Do you know why that was not part of the agenda, or why we stopped?
Let me, I'm ready with this. Let's stay focused.
Yeah.
On the report and the numbers. Then.
So it reflects the numbers. So we haven't done a trip in a year.
I'm not going to deviate from the report and numbers here. If you have questions regarding the numbers, Superintendent Ross can give you the numbers. I'm not going to any reports in the past and why it happened and why it did not happen.
So the question is if we stopped going on trips exactly a year ago, and the numbers have gone down, the numbers $140,000. Do you think that might be related? And why did we stop marketing ourselves to the international student population?
We can get a more thorough response to you, but I guess part of it, I don't know if you can basically address that exact determination as to why our numbers dropped. This does not equal that. We know that the market is quite different right now. The world is quite different right now than we were a year ago at this time when we did go on the trips. We don't have that information right now. I don't even remember when the trips were off my head. I wasn't on the trip, so I'm not aware. But I can at least get you better information as to when the trips occurred and such. If that would be helpful.
So the environment has changed for sure. The ministry, the government is taking a lesser number of students that they used to take in the past. So that's a big factor. All universities across Canada are facing a challenge with bringing in international students. So just give you some context there. So further questions?
Yeah, but it is a net revenue generator, right? Profit center for the.
There is, depending on how we addressed it first, right? Yes.
Okay.
I shall go to Trustee Saunders. You had your two questions. I'll come back to you. Trustee Saunders?
Yeah, just a quick question through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking at our EDCs, and I noticed that our initial original budget estimate is about 31% less than what our revised budget estimates. Can you sort of give me an idea of what happened here and why do we have so much more EDC than we anticipated?
What happened here, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Saunders, is it's something that we don't control, obviously, Trustee Saunders. It's something that's coming with the number of starts we have in our region, housing starts and such. As you know, our EDCs are used to pay off the land we've purchased in the past. So it's something that will help against our land deficit. But as far as the numbers go, we get what we get. It's what the municipalities send us. We do an idea of at least trying to estimate what the cost will be or what our revenue is going to be from it. But it is whatever the starts are in the marketplace. The one other thing I should preference by saying that is all the costs for our EDCs are covered. So the interest costs that are associated with us borrowing for land are covered through our EDC expenditures as well. And the revenue will essentially offset that expenditure in the future.
Well, just to follow up, what is our balance right now? Sorry, I don't know if we have a balance sheet here. What's our balance for ETC?
What our deficit is, our deficit balance? Like, again, that's something I don't have off the top of my head, but I believe it's around $39 million right now.
And just remind me, we amortize that over a period of time or over a...
No, it's essentially we have short-term instruments to cover that deficit off, and all that interest is added back into our EDC balance, for lack of a better word, going forward. So the board is not impacted by our EDC interest. It's obviously all covered by our EDC revenue that eventually comes in. And it could take 15 years, theoretically, in a perfect world, 15 years, that deficit should be paid off. But as you know, we're expanding, buying new property and such. So it's
okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'll come back to you. Vice Chair O'Connor.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to CFO Lobbs. With the gas prices as they are, because I know what it costs me to fill up my beautiful yellow car, and the cost of transportation, are you going to add buffers or some sort of contingency plan depending on how long this goes? Or is that more up to the HSTS?
Chair to Trustee Holmes-Renota. It's not necessarily up to HSTS either. It is what it is. The cost is the cost. When we get our final fiscal year end, so the August 31st, there could be an adjustment that the ministry provides us for gas prices. So we should hopefully get additional revenue to help offset that additional cost for our gas prices.
Good, thank you.
Follow?
No follow-up, no.
Thank you. Up next, Trustee Carabella.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. This is about Appendix B with the, maybe we can put it on because Appendix B. So it shows I'll just use the two first numbers, Well, we have the original budget estimates and then you have the actuals for until February. So let's say the first one, we're estimating 1,050,000, but we're only at, I forget, it's like we need to spend 700,000 from now till June.
Right.
So I'm overwhelmed with that number, so I'm trying to understand it. Thank you.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Cabral. You're right. It is a big number left, right? It's like 700,000 or so thousand we have remaining to spend for the rest of the year. A large part of our reading intervention, and maybe I'll hand it over to Superintendent Cole, but a large part of those training sessions are towards the second half of the year. So this is up until the end of February. So maybe if there's anything.
If you wouldn't mind, just do Mr. Chair, just more than repeating the question. Sorry, I should.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the numbers of the original budget estimates on this one, this Appendix B. And so it's $1 million. And then the actuals to date are only 283,000. So for the next 4 months, we need to spend 700,000. So I'm just trying to understand the huge number, but it's not just for that. They all seem to have that because even the next one, the mental health strategy supports, we're expecting 20,000. We've only spent 2,000. So there's like 18,000 to go. So we only spent 2,000 from September to now. And then we have like 18,000 to spend till June.
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can give you a possible explanation for at least part of it.
Yeah.
With the delayed EQAO results this year, we've allocated funding to schools for them to do professional development to improve their EQAO scores. But because the results were delayed quite late this year, it would have been a delay in them spending those funds and doing that professional development.
So it is coming, like
It's coming,
we
yeah.
will be spending 700,000 on the reading aids. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's maybe.
So the financial analysts work with the different budget holders for these responsive education programs on a monthly basis to connect with them to see how they're tracking and see what the plan is through the rest of the year. Because with this funding, if you don't spend it, you have to provide it back to the ministry. So we definitely monitor this and make sure that every department still has a plan and they're trending towards their plans of when they're going to incur those costs.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Caramillo. Your follow-up?
I have a question about Appendix C, and that was the average daily enrollment. So I was curious that we don't have the actuals listed for March now, March 2026. These are all, they're projected, and everything's projected, the revised estimates, original estimates. And then the actuals are for 24-25. And right, so I was expecting to see 5-26 because it's end of March. So
Not quite though.
okay.
Yeah, it's actually on, sorry, Mr. Chair, through you. It is on October 31st, Trustee Carmel, and March 31st.
Right.
So it has to be on that day. And even this is projected, there theoretically still could be some changes to the October numbers. Those aren't our official final numbers yet. We've kind of done it for, they're probably pretty close, but there theoretically could be an adjustment of some sort. But the March ones, we haven't hit the March 31st date yet. So it is very prescribed. It has to be on March 31st.
Okay, so we can't predict.
Well, we did our best there, but yeah. We don't have the actual numbers yet.
Thank you, Trustee Caramillo. We shall now go back. You have another question?
Finished, thank you.
You're in the queue.
Yes.
Okay, so going back to Trustee Kennedy.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So just wondering, so international recruitment, we mentioned before how it's important to market. Does this board have a goal to want to increase or grow that program, the international student program, for the budget, to increase the numbers of the budget?
Yeah, once again, we are talking about the budget numbers which are presented here. So we're talking about the goals, let us stay focused on what we are presenting here today.
So, okay, through you, Mr. Chair. So
that could be a budget survey question, which is the budget survey is just out soon. We can pan over there.
So through you, Mr.
That's the numbers.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the budgeted numbers for international students are down 440,000, the numbers. So does this board have a goal to increase those numbers to grow the international, to grow those numbers into growth territory?
Superintendent Lofts?
Yeah, we have a department that specializes in looking at international students. Trustee Kennedy, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Kennedy. So there definitely is a department, its job and function is to look at national students.
So do we have like a plan? How do we do that?
Again, yeah, I'll defer to the chair.
I would really like to stick to this, or else we are going to sit here all evening. We have so many other items on the agenda here, so let's focus on the numbers.
So yeah, the plan is, do we have a plan to increase the
So
numbers?
there's a plan, there's a whole department working on it, and Superintendent Loft said that his answer is not going to change.
So we have a plan, but
So there's a plan, which it's with the staff to work on that, and
just lastly, if I through you, Mr. Chair, just to round out, do we have any international student fairs planned to attend this year at all for this board?
Superintendent Denolfo,
Through you, Chair. Trustee Kennedy, we are not attending any fairs for this year for 25 reasons. Okay. In response to your question on a plan, the plan is looking at our schools that enrollment is already at capacity. So there's the difference right now. The only two schools that could take secondary students would be Notre Dame and Corpus Christi. Most of the families that actually would want, just on their own, for looking at data on our school board, want Oakville. And all of the Oakville schools are at capacity. And our Milton schools are at capacity. So we have to be careful. We need to make sure we have spaces for our Halton students first. Yes, there's an income to gain if we do it properly, but if we put them where we're already at capacity, we lose out on that amount of money. And I'm happy at any time to share with you what the plan is of how we want to look at the international program going forward.
thank you. I'll come back to you.
I'm sure.
I'll give it to Trustee Saunders first, because 1 second, we have Trustee Murphy online. I'll go to Trustee Murphy and then come back to Trustee Saunders. Trustee Murphy?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Superintendent Lofts. Is there any line items that concern you and keep you up at night in this budget forecast?
Superintendent Lofts?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Murphy, obviously sick leave is a concern for the board. It's been a concern for years. It's been concerned across the province. So that is something that we really don't get the final numbers until June. And then we see where we end up. So kind of what we've seen the last few years, it's kind of really impacted where we land as far as not just sick leave, but WSIB as well has been another one, where we land as far as surplus deficit at the end of the year.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy?
So all other line items tend to be fairly predictable and you're comfortable with them?
Mr. Chair, through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Murphy. Yes, Trustee Murphy, we have things, some are up, some are down. I know the snow has caused us a little extra this year as well. We've had quite a bit of snow removal. It's been kind of a more unprecedented, at least for Southern Ontario, as far as the snow and salting that we've had to do this year. But we've been able to kind of adjust our budgets accordingly right now to kind of hopefully to look at that excess that we have in that area.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Trustee Saunders?
Yeah, just a couple of questions that has sparked. You mentioned that we capitalized some expenses. Can you give me an idea of what we capitalized?
Mr. Chair, to Trustee Saunders. So there would have been expenditures, minor capital assets. So first time equipping type items in a school that really went on their individual level, they wouldn't be necessarily a capital item. But when you group a bunch of them together, computers, whatnot, they become a capital item. So they get moved essentially from the balance of the income statement over to the balance sheet and we depreciate it over the next number of years, depending on what the asset was.
Is this according to GAAP or whatever we use for this?
It's kind of a unique, it is GAAP, but it's a unique kind of ministry guideline. We have a deferred capital contributions involved in this as well. But you're right, it is GAAP related as well. Deferred capital contributions are a little unique on the revenue side, how you kind of tie it together. But
my second question through you, Mr. Chair. I've noticed that our professional development costs have gone down. Is there like a conscious effort to reduce this, or is there some issue that we're running into?
Mr. Chair, I think we kind of talked a little bit about it, and it kind of was a similar answer to what Trustee Carabello mentioned before about why we had that difference. A lot of it's being front loaded because, as Superintendent Cole mentioned, EPO work, so we're kind of be doing it more the second half.
Okay. And my last question, and just something that, and I'm not sure if it's applicable, but we mentioned capacity in our schools and with regard to this foreign students. I understood we had hired quite a few teachers in January. Would that not have expanded our capacity?
Thank you.
And thus made this more.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Saunders. Capacity is actually with our rooms too, right? We have our space in our schools. So we need to bring in portables because we have more students and they're international students, just going to get costs associated with that. And when you kind of maximize that space, there could be additional infrastructure costs, water, pipe or sewers and such that we've had to look at as well in some of our sites. So I think that's kind of where the capacity is as well. Not so much on teaching side, it's more on the facility side.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Going back to Trustee Kennedy.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Just on that topic, through you, Mr. Chair, how many schools, like, is there 10 high schools or 11? 10? 10.
How many? The ELC.
Yeah, how many are at like physical capacity space, not teachers, like physical, like Bishop Redding for sure.
Yeah, Bishop Redding.
Okay, point of order.
Yes,
I've been holding on to this point of order for a long time. So if we can refer to bylaw 10.8, Mr. Chair, I'd like you to rule on it.
Bylaw 10.8.
Yeah, 10.8. Conduct of member, specifically D. Confine all remarks, questions, or comments to the motion issue, which is the subject of debate. So we are veering off from our issue of this revised budget. So I would like you to rule on that point of order.
Vice Chair. I've been trying to let trustees know that we're staying focused on the report as presented. So we are veering off, and I would I hope that your point of order is in order. I'm going to ask trustees once again, let's stay focused on the numbers presented. We are not here to determine why things have, we can ask a few questions, we can, why such numbers have changed, but we're not getting into some motions or some hypothetical situations here. So, Trustee Kennedy, please you can ask the question, but rephrase it.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So to potentially grow the international student program and those numbers out of the deficit we've had, are we suffering from a physical capacity space to be able to grow that number? And like how many schools would not be able to handle any more students?
So again, Trustee Kennedy, we're talking about numbers as presented. You asked the previous. So yeah, so we are not talking about physical school space and all that stuff. So let us stick to the numbers itself here. So you asked a question why the number has been short, why it's perfectly fine and valid. But we are going off topic now to discuss school spacing and all. That's something that's in topic. We haven't answered the previous question. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next question.
I guess the question is, do we have capacity to grow the number in any shape or form?
We have capacity. Okay, Superintendent Lodge.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Kennedy, yes, we do in certain schools. It's just sometimes not schools that the individuals want to attend.
And unrelated, Mr. Chair, Appendix D, if that's okay, through your Mr. Chair.
That's good.
Appendix D, just a quick one, because it's a large number. It's 25 million. So I just wanted to look at the biggest number. So fees and contract services, the revised estimate was 25 million. We're at 14 million, which is only about 5.5% ahead, but we're halfway through. And it's a large number. So, 6% of 25 million. Is that number potentially going to like double? Like, why do you think that number is so substantial? Like $1 million, right?
Yes, but through you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Kennedy, we have gone through the major part of the year, at least a large part of the year with if you think of all of our plowing, salting and such. So that part should really, we're kind of front loaded that way a little bit, just the way that our months align. So that would be probably a part of that reason as to why that difference is there.
Hey, can you give like a couple, Mr. Chair, what are some of the things that are in their fees and service? So we've got snow plowing, we've got grass cutting. What else is in there?
You'd have to get back to everything that's in there. It's a lot that would be in a lot of different items. Maintenance would be in there too, yeah.
Okay, I shall now go to Trustee Arabella. You have your hand up.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Just referring to the comment that we want to use the money that the ministry gives us, because then they might take it back. So is there, what are some of the other areas that the ministry claws back? And I'm wondering if the core ed, like what they give us per student, do they ever claw back anything that for any reason?
Mr. Chair, if you, Trustee Carabello. Those are the REPs, so those are different. So those are basically all individual contracts with set reporting dates, with set requirements for each one of those. The core education grant, that would stay as part of us. Yeah, would stay with us and would part our surplus deficit. There are some items now, not as many as there used to be, that we're used to be able to defer that revenue going forward. Ministry has removed a lot of that. That was a large part of our surplus this past year too, was the fact that we had to recognize all the revenue that formerly used to be able to be deferred. We had to recognize it, so kind of increased us a bit. Spec ed's an area where if we don't spend all our spec ed money, we can defer it going forward. Having said that, we typically spend all of our spec ed. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Carabello,
The follow-up, what happens financially to our board when there's a snow day and the schools are closed or there's no teachers, or is that hurt us or, help us? Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, through you.
Yes, good.
Oh, you want to go? Sure.
No, I'll tip it to you, but I think that's not the first time we hear that question. I think it's kind of a typical layman's question about it. But staff is still paid. No one, because it's a snow day, is said, you're not getting paid for that day. Lights are still on. All those things are still running. Their bills are being paid in terms of resources that we're acquiring. And in fact, many people are still doing work, but they're shoveling at the same time, right? They're shoveling and then going in and getting some work done virtually. But no, there's not don't give them ideas, by the way, but no one is saying that we're going to take 190th of it and snip it by that. Superintendent Lofts?
Yeah, to you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Cabrillo, Director Klein's correct. There's no impact financially to us other than lost productivity. Having said that, we do have a lot of our staff working from home as well, at least on the non-academic side. So there is still work being done. It's just being done at home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Carabello. Okay, Trustee Kennedy, you are done. Okay, thanks so much for this once again, and thank you, Superintendent Love, for presenting the 2025-26 budget report. Shall now move on to item number 11.5, 25-26 capital report. Second quarter, September 1st, 2025 to February 28th, 2026. Superintendent Lodge, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, please find everyone attached an information report updating HCDSB's major capital projects for the period ending February 28th, 2026. Mr. Chair, this report is being presented as information to trustees.
Thank you, Superintendent Lodge. Trustees, we have questions for Superintendent Lodge on this? Not, thank you, Superintendent Lodge, for presenting this report. So now move on to item 11.6, Halton Student Transportation Services Annual Home to School Transportation Review. Superintendent Lodge, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and again through you. Attached to everyone is the HSTS Annual Home to School Transportation Review, which was viewed at the February 26, 2026 HSTS Board meeting, Board Directors meeting. The only change impacting our board is for St. Cecilia. So the transportation has been temporarily provided to the students who attend St. Cecilia and reside east of Threshing Mill Boulevard due to a lack of pedestrian infrastructure and the continued construction of new homes. Construction and the pedestrian infrastructure are now expected to be completed before the start of the 26-27 school year. Thus, transportation is being removed. It was only temporary as the infrastructure is now scheduled to be completed. This will impact 53 students. Notification to families will be sent out this month regarding the change in transportation eligibility, and it's contingent, everyone, on the completion of said infrastructure effective 2026. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Superintendent Lodge. Trustees, any questions regarding this report?
I lost my hand.
Okay, Trustee Saunders.
Superintendent Watt, or sit through you, Mr. Chair. I noticed that this goes back to our expenses and transportation. So we've only got 39% of our budget remaining on transportation. Was there like an increase in cost because of fuel, or are we in some risk that we won't be able to provide transportation?
Superintendent Lodge.
Mr. Chair, to Trustee Saunders, no, we're not. We're not at risk right now. We're actually, again, dependent upon with the price, and the price of gas has gone up immediately. So we haven't obviously been impacted per se by it yet, but we're not expecting to have a deficit within a transportation line for this year.
Okay, and just a second quick question. Are you aware, I know that the town of Oakville has been working on trying to get a bus from north of Dundas down to Holy Trinity. Has that happened? Are you aware of any sort of that?
Superintendent, Mr. Chair, can I defer to Brock? Yeah.
We are scheduled, through you, Mr. Chair, we are scheduled to meet with the town to have a special bus route, and I believe if Superintendent Donolfo wanted to add anything on.
Been set, through your chair, the meeting's been set and will be taking place.
All right, thank you. I've been working on this. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Superintendent Lofts, for presenting this report. We now move on to item 11.7, 2025-26 Math Achievement Plan, Action Plan. Superintendent Skripek, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Part of my responsibilities, I have a responsibility to respond to report to the board. Here's an update to the achievement activity from the report with regard to mathematics. This typically falls under the pillar of achieving, and underneath each slide, you'll typically see a corresponding one of the corresponding pillars that talk to our report. And just to outline also that the province has outlined within the Math Achievement Action Plan 3 main goals. The first being curriculum implementation, which is the policy of the ministry with respect to instruction and achievement in mathematics. The second one deals with content knowledge for teaching, which is all the learning that's required for teachers to teach students the mathematics that's in the curriculum. And last is to understand what we know about the mathematics learner in our classrooms today. So we're going to start with resources that we have within the board. We support the use of two core resources. One is Math Up and one is Mathology. Both are encouraged to be used within our scope and sequence. The supplementary resources that we use include Knowledge Hook and TVO Learn. So when I talk about a scope and sequence, this is what we provide to educators across the district. They include links to the resources that we have and a suggested trajectory that they could follow. I do speak with principals on a regular basis, and I track the activity of teachers through this. 99% have stated to their principals that they're following the scope and sequence. There are some minor variances within the following of the plan, and that means sometimes they may decide to teach one concept a little bit earlier or later based on their professional knowledge. So we are doing a pilot of My Math Path from Nelson. This is the only publisher that's producing a print textbook. Right now, we are collecting responses from staff. We will be looking at responses from parents and students within the school to understand how that is working with all of our stakeholders. The initial check-in is telling us that teachers have generally positive perceptions. Their experiences have varied, and there's several areas for improvement that were identified. I'd be happy to clarify. Knowledge Hook continues to be one of our instructional resources. We discussed REP grants, Superintendent Loft in the budget update. This is part of the grant that government gives us. It fits within the criteria that the ministry likes us to do, and it forms a key component of a short learning cycle, which I'll elaborate on a bit. Which is the professional learning that we use for mathematics. Currently, we have 801 HCDSB educators using the premium version of Knowledge Hook, is what we're paying for. That means that's about approximately 19,000 students using the resource from grades 1 to 10. The ministry does ask us to report on the usage from grades 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we are matching up with what the ministry is asking us to do. We're also encouraging kids to get a medal here. This medal is called, rewards students for the Mathalon. We're encouraging students to use the Knowledge Hook feature within there called the Mathalon, where they get stars for doing additional practice. If they achieve 250 gold stars, they get a medal. So there's 574 students who have received a medal, and apparently as soon as we sent out 574, I guess we have demand for 2,000. So I hope we have that many medals to give out. And if there's a trustee who's interested in completing a mathalon, I'll send you a medal as well. Math contests are taking place currently. We're waiting to hear results. I'm eager to hear results for our grade 9, 10, and 11 students who just wrote the Pascal, Cayley, and Fermat, and the Euclid, which is being written in May. We also have intermediate contests that we support that were taking place earlier in November. There's some names here that you can take a look, and we'll be happy to report back on the results in my final update in June. The math team is also supporting elementary schools in May for the grade 7 and 8 contests. And Director Klein has already kind of spoke about the work that Vice Principal Melissa Giardino is doing to organize a central competition for our students. And to add to that, Corpus Christi will be sending 6 students to the University of Waterloo to participate in the competition directly at that school. All elementary school administrators, as part of my role, have met with me in January to define their content areas, specifically where students struggled in 24-25. School administrators were to follow up with the work, will be following up with me in April in support of the work for the short learning cycles. The work that I do with administrators focuses in 2 specific areas, the content area and the high impact instructional practice. So just by comparison, last year's work, this is the 24-25 data that we're able to disaggregate from EQAO. We have board data that speaks to where we were in a specific area. In this case, it was in data. So we identified the content area of data and spatial reasoning as the 2 that we really want to focus on. And we noticed an increase in board data from 56 to 61%. By comparison, I just kind of wanted to show how we're kind of outpacing within the board where the province was at in the last couple of years. This also occurred in spatial reasoning, but we saw just a small uptick in spatial reasoning. So with no surprise there, many schools are choosing spatial reasoning as their focus this year, which is actively occurring as we speak. Next, the Ministry of Education provides funding to us as well for tutoring. We continue our partnership with Halton Black Voices. We are supporting grade 9 Stream students or grade 10 students who've actively engaged in tutoring in the past with Halton Catholic. And we're using the services of the Black Graduation Coach as well to continue and encourage students to maintain their relationship with their tutors. Last semester, we had 65 students. We're anticipating similar numbers this semester, and I'll have data to report on student engagement later on. We also have the partnership with the Center for Diverse Learners this year. That used to be the Learning Disabilities Association of Ontario. The goal is to have 50 students across our elementary schools to participate from grades 2 to 8. And I'll have data to support the engagement of students in that area as well. Do the Math continues to be used. I've presented on this in the past. This year, we're continuing the services to support our special education resource teachers. 27 of them will be presenting or have received supports in this area. I wanted to kind of discuss the priority school model as well. 4 schools are participating last year, and this year we continue the same level of support in these schools. This kind of outlines the activities of the itinerants that are in those 2 schools. We have 2 itinerants over 4 schools that are directly supporting, ideally, specifically grade 3 and 6 teachers, but also whole school initiatives like games clubs, whole school staff meetings, supporting the data collection, and also doing active work in the short learning cycles. So these numbers represent typically about 8% of our grade 3 and about, sorry, I can't tell my number there. I think it's around 10% of our grade 6 students in across those priority schools. And some of those activities that we discussed are here. Later on in the year, in the next couple of months, they'll also be helping students with preparation for the writing of EQAO, which takes place beginning in the 2nd week of May and will culminate around June 11th. Just by way of context of the work that is occurring there, you can kind of see on the top line there, those are the schools that we've been supporting, and you see the growth in grade 3, the primary students. We've gone from 64.9 to 73.2%. But in the board area, we went from 70 to 75.7. You can also see that we're actually approaching within the board average with priority schools that we're supporting. Greater growth occurred in our junior area. In our priority schools, we went from 38.3% for those 4 schools that were supported to 58%. And you can see the growth of the board. Tremendous work with the principals, the teachers, the staffs of the schools to show the growth that we've had over these 4 schools, which shows tremendous promise. We also have a similar model in our secondary schools, but with different levels of activity, mainly because they're in a semester model. So they kind of go in a cycle, and then we try to start in a second school in the second semester. There's 2 secondary itineraries right now placed across 2 different schools. They're now supporting 4 schools overall this year. You can see some of the practices they do, implementing high impact instructional practices, progress monitoring, fidelity curriculum, teacher transitions. That means sometimes when we have a teacher leave a classroom because they're going on a leave, maybe that teacher's helping support the transition. Maybe a teacher's doing a lot of coaching. So they support classrooms in their absence. Mid-year check-ins, EQAO implementation, lunch hour and after-school supports and contest implementation is also done by these itineraries at our priority schools. We had 1 priority school last year. I don't want to belie too much information about the school other than to say that there was tremendous growth in this school over the past couple of years. And we're seeing some sustained growth this year as well. Last but not least, there is some activity happening. We receive a grant from the Ministry of Education with regard to, the additional qualifications. It's part of an REP grant that we get. This year, some members of the math team offered their services in partnership with Trent University to support more professional learning in the area of primary and junior mathematics part 1. We're also encouraging the intermediate additional basic qualification. So that means that these are teachers who may not have it, but now can teach grade 9 and 10 when they receive the grade 9, when they receive this qualification, which is always an advantage when we have some teachers who may be going on a leave or may otherwise be unavailable, or in their growth areas right now where we recognize that we want to have qualified instructors available for our teachers. The math team will also be working with a new resource called What to Look For Volume 2. That's multiplicative reasoning. That's a real word. It's how you think about multiplication and when you do things when you calculate things, but you think about it in a multiplication. That is my presentation for the board, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Happy
Superintendent.
to take any questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Skripek. Shall I open up the floor to trustees for questions, comments? Trustees, please raise your hand up if you have a comment. Vice Chair.
For you, Mr. Chair, Superintendent Skripek, these results, the data doesn't lie, right? So it's going in the right direction. So well done. And as always, and I always tell you, the passion that you have for math is unbelievable. So well done.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Up next, Trustee Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Superintendent Skripnik. If you listen to the news, our students are failing in math and math is on the decline, but yet we go to award ceremonies and we see all of the students that are winning math awards, and we go to STEM. And so obviously there's a discrepancy there. So are we winning the math war? Is there a crisis in our society with math? And then the second part of that would be, is there a spread? Are those who excel in those areas that have keen interest that involves math, are they excelling, but the gap is widening between those who don't have that same interest?
Let's go back.
I generally don't do a lot of studies in our board with respect to how students are doing in math. I can tell you that the data and the research is really clear about how students do in early math and the impact that has on later school success. And it's a very positive correlation. Math, as I tend to share with people, tends to open up many, many, many doors for kids in our population. One thing I will always share is that math is not limited to students going to university. I think it's a very important skill. And when we think about mathematics and the skilled trades, it's one of the areas that we very much promote. So Trustee Murphy, when we talk about how our students are doing, we're very much paying attention to every single component of the mathematics curriculum that we're teaching, regardless of when we talk about course selection. We focus in on every single course and make sure that students succeed, because we know that, for example, as Superintendent Del Sordo could talk about, when we look at a skilled trade, almost every single skilled trade, I was told last year by the members of the student success team, save for maybe 2, require a grade 12 math course. So while we can recognize the fact that it's a gateway to great success in many careers post-secondary, most specifically, it's also very important for our students that are going into fields in the skilled trades, which I think is a critical area for future growth in Ontario. Does that kind of answer the question, Trustee? And the gap is not as huge in Halton, to answer your question directly.
Trustee Murphy, does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I see no other trustees' hands up. So Superintendent Skripek, I want to thank you and your team for the wonderful work done we are doing and we continue to do. And I know we're targeting 100%, not 97% for the future reports. So thank you once again.
Looking forward to it. Offer stands, Mr. Chair, medals available.
Okay. Thank you. We shall now move on to item 11.8, extensive trip advisory committee trip proposal. Superintendent Bakaj, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair. Happy to provide trustees with information regarding the extensive field trips submitted by our secondary schools to date. We did meet as an ETAC committee on Wednesday, March 3rd, for the purpose of considering 3 DECA trip requests from 3 of our high schools: Assumption, Bishop Redding, and St. Kateri. Trustees will probably remember from past reports that the DECA International Career Development Conference is the culmination of the DECA year, where more than 25,000 high school students, teacher advisors, business professionals, and alumni will be participating, including, happy to say, 5 students from our 3 different HCDSB secondary schools. They have qualified, meeting the requirements for the conference. You'll find specific information from each of the schools in each of their relevant appendices. And we also had a trip just recently. Happy to say that we've had an OFSA extended trip for the curling championship in Thunder Bay, and that was submitted by St. Francis Xavier. The OFSA curling championship brings together top high school athletes from across the province to compete at the provincial level. And the school also submitted their individual information sheet, which you'll see as Appendix D. As the committee's role, we reviewed all the trip packages, and any additional information that was required was provided. The proposed trips met all the established criteria, and the committee recommended approval for the trips. In conclusion, we're proud to say that our HCDSB students continue to excel in a variety of educational programs, and demonstrating their ability to successfully compete at the highest levels provincially, nationally, and internationally. And we wish our students all the best in their respective competitions.
Thank you, Superintendent Bakaj. I shall now open up the floor to trustees for questions.
Great news.
I see no questions, but I have one question, Superintendent Bakaj. Have you considered traveling to certain areas with where there are some challenges in the security of our students and safety and all that part?
Thank you, Chair, for your question. Safety and security is paramount for all of our trips.
Traveling.
Yes, yeah, and traveling. And so we do take that under consideration and monitor all travel cautions and advisories. So they're all taken under control before we approve the trips.
Yeah, I mean, our students are doing really well. We need to provide them some opportunities, but at the same time, we do cognizant of what's certain things going on around. So Thank you so much for presenting a report. We shall now move on to item 11.9, the report we are waiting for all evening. 11.9 construction report. Superintendent Merrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it brief. First up, come on, 11, yeah. Not a lot of action here yet. Looks similar to last month. We have no snow now, so it's not gone, but however, off of the construction site, we have lots of action going on with this project. The tender closed for it about 2 weeks ago now. It is within budget, which is fantastic. So moving ahead with awarding and lining up contractors for Milton number 11. On the permitting side, we also have our design approved for the siphon, which is not that exciting. It's underground pipe, but it's a major infrastructure piece that goes across the front of the site. So that part's approved now, and we have been approved to submit our building permit. So that's in review with the town as well. So nearing action on site with the contractor and a permit in hand. Then next up, we have Georgetown West, which is now in the ground. It's actually, this was taken early last week. The site's rolling along very well right now. So site services are in. We're probably about half done the site services right now, and foundation started at the middle of last week as well. So I'm starting to get strip foundations in and get out of the ground, out of the mud, this site. But moving along at Georgetown West as well. So happy to get any questions that trustees have on these two projects.
Thank you, Superintendent Merrick. Trustees, any questions on the report? Seeing none. Thank you, Superintendent Merrick, for presenting your report. Our next order of business is miscellaneous information. 12.1 student trustee update. Student trustees, please present your report.
Do you want to start in order? We're achieving, believing, belonging, becoming.
Sure, I can begin with achieving. So an important area the Student Senate has been working on is achievement, obviously. The Student Achievement and Leadership Committee has already released plans for course fairs, and these will be introduced at different high schools. These fairs will help students explore their options and plan for success. In addition, the Mental Health Subcommittee proposed a gardening initiative that was passed at the last Senate meeting. This program will allow high schools across HCDSB, alongside some community organizations, to work with students to care for plants throughout the year. The gardens will also provide a calming space for students who may be feeling about stress, who may be feeling stressed about exams, tests, and other responsibilities, though obviously not in instructional time. Overall, this initiative supports both student well-being and a positive school community. And normally I'd say I'm open to any and all questions and requests for more details, but it's 9:30 p.m., so I'm open to concise questions, shall we say.
So the next pillar we chose to address is believing. And so one of the key initiatives that we carried out that fits under this pillar is the Funding Futures Project I've talked about in previous meetings. And actually Pierre, who was here earlier, our incoming student trustee, is one of the key stakeholders in this project. He's played a crucial role in carrying it out. And so far, we've just been laying out the logistics of the project. Just to reiterate, the purpose of this project is to support students and families in need within the HCDSB through the Children's Aid Society. So we're collaborating with this organization. So right now we're just kind of laying out the logistics in terms of distributing bags to schools, getting admin involved, and figuring out how we're going to market this project in range of schools. So far, I've been working with the chair of this committee to put out sort of a advertising campaign and a marketing campaign. That's one way we've been working to advance this pillar as well. And for belonging, so the Student Senate has continued to foster a strong sense of belonging across the Halton Catholic School Board schools by creating opportunities for students to connect, collaborate, and support one another. During our most recent General Senate meeting, senators participate in both subcommittee and home Senate breakouts. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory what a subcommittee versus home Senate breakout is. But a subcommittee breakout is like, for example, Faith in Action would break up, but a home Senate breakout is their home school, so where they're from. So the 8 elected representatives would break out from. And here they discuss challenges and work together on initiatives that benefit their communities. So that way, the reason it's so important to have home Senate subcommittee breakouts because after the proposals go back to the schools, we wanted to make sure it's enforced and brought back and there's no further questions. So like, for example, a proposal that was brought up a couple months ago was the culture night. So there was further questions and further things established and it was brought all the way back home. So these collaborative spaces have encouraged schools to put in effort and continue working on past proposals. As I said, through open discussions and shared leadership, the Senate continues to provide a welcoming environment where students feel comfortable expressing their perspectives and contributing to positive change within their schools and across the board. I can talk about becoming if you guys want. So in terms of becoming, one thing I really wanted to highlight is that our mental health committee, in partnership with our social media representatives, recently rolled out a mental health video. So it's visible currently on the Student Senate Instagram. Hopefully it'll be visible on the HCDSB one too soon. I think when, since Mental Health Week is coming up, that's sort of when you might see this. And so yeah, we have this new video, and I've received a lot of proposals for video projects or media focused projects from our Senate. So we're also going to be putting out a new video soon, hopefully, that's more of an up-to-date introduction to what the Senate is. So we can get more people involved. Just working on advertising the Senate. So that kind of is what I would contribute. If there's anything, or Ropier, if there's anything you want to share in terms of becoming, that's about.
Okay. Thank you, student trustees, for presenting your report. Trustees, do we have any questions, comments for student trustees? Seeing none, once again, thank you so much for presenting your report and bringing student goals and achievements to the table here. We shall now move on to item 12.2 OCSDA update. Vice Chair.
I do have a verbal. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Oxta, as your director, Oxta has been working tirelessly behind the scenes, having meeting, lobbying to see what Minister Calandra is going to do. We still don't know. We're waiting every day for this announcement of what public trustees will look like for the Catholic, the public, the French, et cetera. So Oxta behind the scenes, when we have our directors meeting, they just say, please tell your team that, we're working feverishly to try to talk to whoever we can to make some changes moving forward, even though they haven't been announced yet. Also, the AGM is coming up at the end of April. We have, as a board, some resolutions that we have put together and submitted to Oxta. So we're looking forward to the AGM and seeing how those resolutions pass as well. And the AGM is always a good time to meet with our colleagues and discuss challenges they're having and go over certain things together. But really, that's what's going behind the scenes. And I'm sure if there's an announcement before April 29th, a lot of the AGM will be talking about what that announcement is. So we'll have to stay tuned. I wish I knew.
Thank you. Just to add to your report.
Sorry, one more thing. Sorry, Oxta did send me, and if anyone wishes it, it's like a template. So if you're talking to anybody about what Catholic school trustees do, I have kind of a template that I can share as well. If anyone's interested, please just reach out and I'll send it to you.
I think it has been sent to all trustees.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Just to add one more thing to your report is reminder to all trustees that next board meeting, we will have the election for the regional director for region 13.
13, yeah.
13, yeah. So it's in our report right now as a consent agenda. So thank you for your report.
Thank you.
And with that, we shall now move on to our next order of business. Open question period. Plan. Do we have any questions submitted tonight?
Chair, we don't.
No, so that's good. So thank you for that. Item number 15 in camera. We do not have to go in camera. We move on to our last, which is the resolution regarding absentee. All trustees are present, so we do not need to go to that. And we land up at item number 17, adjournment and closing prayer. We now have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Saunders moves. Looking for a seconder. Nobody wants to go home. For a second. Mr. Carabella seconds it. All in favor? Seeing none, motion carries. Trustee Saunders, please lead us in the closing.
Okay, this is a prayer for Palm Sunday. So in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. We praise you, O God, for your redemption of the world through your Son, Jesus Christ. He entered the holy city of Jerusalem in triumph and was proclaimed Messiah and King by those who spread branches along his way. Just as we carry these branches, may we follow Christ in the way of the cross, that dying and rising with him, we may enter into the kingdom through Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit forever and ever. Amen. That's a great message.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Thanks for a great meeting. Good night.